What's up, everybody? On this episode, I interview my first female guest. Let's go.
Rising up, here we go. No time to be afraid. They say it's impossible. And listen to what they say. They got me motivated. Oh yeah, I'm motivated.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to Maximize the Business of You. I'm Maximino, and today I have my first female guest. Her name is Jasmine Ray. She's a singer, she's a martial artist, and she's also the founder of Wall Ball. I'm going to let her explain what Wall Ball is, but Jasmine Ray.
Hey!
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, for the people that don't know who you are, can you explain who you are and what you do?
So I founded an organization called the U.S. Wall Ball Association. It's an organization that promotes the sport of handball, but we specifically promote the sport in lower income communities and communities of need, or as a vehicle to bring resources to these neighborhoods in need, address the challenges that the neighborhoods are having, and then also, utilizing the sport in general just to inspire people's lives.
So what inspired the creation of Wall Ball?
So unfortunately, it was inspired by the passing of my 16-year-old brother, Jonathan. He passed away in a car accident. Handball was something that him and I did on weekends, and so when he passed away, I hosted a handball tournament in his memory. And I mean, there were a lot of kids there from the neighborhood, even outside the neighborhood. And my train of thought was, my brother was a popular kid. He was always into sports, but I know that half of these kids that showed up for this handball tournament didn't necessarily know my brother. So when that tournament finished, the community encouraged me to throw another tournament. So I hosted a second tournament, a third one, and then what wound up happening is I developed this following throughout the city, and what I did was I created a website just to make it easier for people to follow me and see where the next tournament is going to be and attend. And then what that transitioned to was just me realizing or recognizing that there were a lot of issues that could be addressed utilizing sports as sort of like a platform, right, to address those issues. So, for example, a lot of the kids and the teenagers who would come and play, they were very disrespectful. They were cursing each other out, or they want to fight with the referee, or just a lack of respect for each other, and a lack of self-respect. So within my organization, I'm very, I have no tolerance for disrespect. So that was one of the very first issues that I addressed in my handball tournaments was there's no cursing.
Right.
So, and I didn't even care if you're on the court and you miss a shot and you're like, shit, I would go disqualified.
Right.
Yeah.
So people would hate you probably.
Oh, hate is not the word. They'd be like, who does she think she is?
Right.
She doesn't even play. Or I play, but
Right.
And so what I did was to sort of get them to come back and play again, and also to abide by the rules is I went out and I started pitching to different companies for sponsorship.
Gotcha.
So I went to Red Bull, I went to Modell's, I went to the banks, I went to anybody who would give me an ear. I would say, look, I have these handball tournaments, I have these kids who really have no other outlet. They can't afford baseball fee leagues. They can't afford the equipment that comes along with playing football. And so the sport that they turn to, the sport that's most accessible to them is handball, because there's over 2,000 handball courts in the 5 boroughs, right? And almost like 80% of the schoolyards and the school systems within the 5 boroughs have handball courts in the back of them. So the kids, they gravitate to whatever is most accessible to them. So I'm utilizing what is most accessible to them, their favorite pastime, and creating boundaries and creating rules and creating some type of organization. And then, what that sort of transition to is like give them like a sense of self-worth, like when they win a handball tournament, off the court, they just walk around with this pride because they're good at something. Right. So when I went to pitch to these companies, I mean, most of the ones that I pitched to, 6 years ago, because we're 6 years running now, still work with me to this day. So Red Bull sponsors, TD Bank sponsors,
Awesome.
Capital One sponsors.
Awesome.
I have over 20 corporations. I have 4 foundations. I have a lot of political support in the city, and
Absolutely.
so now people donate to the organization, and I give back to the community.
First of all, I commend you on turning a negative situation, the passing of your brother, and turning it into a positive situation, not only for you, but for the community. And that's a lesson to everybody out there, that no matter what you go through, no matter what obstacles put in your way, you could always turn it around, and there's always a positive to a negative.
Absolutely.
There's always a positive to a negative. So
Absolutely.
I commend you. So
Thank you.
I'm excited for you, because I know your vision for wall ball is to take it, like the NBA. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you're modeling your company after the NBA to grow
Absolutely.
and have different teams. So tell me a little bit more about that.
So yeah, when I first started wall ball, thank God I was in business school, and so a lot of the things that I was learning at the time, I was able to apply to growing a sport from the grassroots up, building something from the grassroots up. So once I sort of built the infrastructure of my nonprofit organization, I realized that there was a big opportunity for a for-profit component to it.
Exactly.
Which is, once these kids turn 18, because that's typically where we stop with the
Nonprofit stuff.
nonprofit stuff, where do they go from there, right? So I have a couple of options. Number one, you can enter our internship program, and then you can teach kids lower, because we've already entered some of the schools. So now what we do is when we have clinics and stuff, we actually hire the kids who grew up playing in our organization, and now they can intern with us, or they can apply for a job with us. We've actually hired 2 people so far that grew up playing in the organization. Now they're working with us, and they're teaching somebody younger than them. So it's like a pay it forward
Right.
type of thing.
Right.
The other thing they can do is enter our pro league, and that's sort of where like the NBA
Franchise concept
comes into play, because did a lot of studying, and there's an opportunity there to go pro with this sport, because outside of the United States, the sport is played in 33 different countries, worldwide. They play professionally, they play with equipment, they have, spectators, and they get paid like athletes get paid to play a sport that they're good at. So every time we would go overseas and New York players would play overseas, they're beating everybody. So I said, why isn't anyone doing anything over here when we're clearly the best in the world, right? So that's sort of another, avenue or component to the nonprofit, is I'm creating a for-profit league, which I started when I had my brother's memorial tournament 5 years ago. And today we're up to 6 different, regions. So we have Team Brooklyn, we have Team Bronx, we have Team Long Island, we have Philadelphia. Next year we have Florida, we have California, we have Puerto Rico. So it's turning into a league already, and I have sponsors. And what I did was I purchased a wall, so a portable wall. And what I do is I literally build a wall in the middle of stadiums. So I built it at Lehman College, the Apex Stadium. I built it in this tennis stadium called Match Point in Brooklyn.
Right.
And we fill the stands with spectators, and they watch, the best of the best in the United States.
So when's your first stadium happening?
That's like, yeah, I swear, that's one thing that, for me, see, people think I'm crazy, right?
You're not crazy.
I'm not crazy.
Right.
Because when I started wall ball, everybody said, you're crazy. Don't put your money into it. They said these kids are ghetto.
Right,
the
of
sport
course.
is a street sport. It's a jail sport, right? Nobody wanted me to do it. I did it anyway. And now that I have all this sort of notoriety for doing this, now I'm like, okay, I'm taking it to the next level. We're going to go international. We're going to go pro. I'm going to build a stadium. I'm going to do these things. People are like, you're crazy. When they tell me I'm crazy, that's how I know I'm on the right track. So it's like, I'm going to go even harder at this now. You think I'm crazy? I must be doing the right thing.
So you recently traveled overseas. Tell us about that. It must have been really exciting. Tell me what you went out there for.
So I initially went out there to manufacture my own handball, wall ball, because some of the manufacturers in the United States, they didn't really want to make any deals with me. They said, So
you wanted to create your own handball?
I wanted to create my own handball, because I figure, I'm doing all this groundwork. I'm creating something here. Why would I promote someone else's product.
Right. The NBA makes their own balls.
There you go.
Right.
So I figured that's sort of like a natural progression, right? Was
Absolutely.
create my own merchandising, create my own equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So the first step in that is creating my own ball. And so, unfortunately, like a lot of businesses here in the United States, it's too much money to manufacture and create a product here in the U.S.
Unfortunately.
So we have to sort of outsource. So
Right.
I tried, over the computer, over the phone to communicate with, Asia. It was too hard. So, long story short, I found a contact and I got on a plane and I just flew to China. I flew to China. I met with a few manufacturers and I got the ball manufactured. So now we'll go back and forth between the prototype. We're just perfecting it. Because we're creating different types of balls. So we have the ball for the pros, and we also have a ball for like the smaller kids, so that it's not as hard, it doesn't hurt their hand. And so once we perfect the prototype, I'll have my own ball by next year for sure. We'll be in distribution.
That's what's up.
In all the bodegas throughout
See,
the city.
there you go, people. Like, if you feel something, you passionate about something, just go for it.
for it.
She just jumped on a plane and went to China.
I literally just got on the plane and went to China. And on my way there, I downloaded Rosetta Stone.
Right,
I said,
right.
okay, I need to learn how to speak Mandarin. So I actually, I'm up to the middle of the program.
They're probably like, who the hell is this little little Puerto Rican
Right.
dark-skinned girl?
Exactly.
Right?
But no, they rock with me. They love me in China.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're also a martial artist. There's a lot of
am.
discipline in that. So tell me about that.
Wow. I started fighting when I was 13.
Uh-huh.
And speaking of discipline, because it also really ties into wall ball, the fact that, well, number one, the community of people that I deal with, the crowd that I deal with, they're not the most open and welcoming. And so, number one, I had to have a level of toughness, physical toughness, but also mental toughness, right? Which is really, really important in dealing with people that have a lot of challenges, right? You have to be mentally tough. They're going to try to attack you. They're going to try to downplay you. They're going to try to bring you down.
But they don't know.
But
you kick their ass. She will kick your ass.
Yeah, I had a couple people try me, and I took a look.
She's not gonna kick your ass. But
No, well,
But so martial arts. Tell me more about
martial arts. No, so I started. Listen, at 13, I was really good. I was naturally a fighter. From
Right.
13, I never lost. I fought in many tournaments, won many trophies, and then I started volunteering as a instructor when I was 18 years old. I got my black belt at 17.
Wow, what degree of black belt?
Today I'm a 4th degree. I'm a 4th degree black belt in Shotokan karate, and so I volunteer, I try to give back, and part of that discipline I applied to wall ball. And that's why in the very beginning I said, there's no cursing, you have to learn how to control yourself, because you control yourself on the handball court, especially when you're playing sports. You're gonna learn how to control yourself on the outside world.
I think if you control yourself in life,
period, right? You get so much further.
Yeah.
So much further.
And self-motivation and control and discipline.
Yep.
And that's what Maximize is about. It's
Yeah.
helping people
maximize their potential. Right?
Exactly. Through people's stories, they're going to learn something from you. They're going to be motivated from you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that.
Thank
so
you.
what's the first hour of the day look like for Jasmine Ray? Because, you're a busy person, you're a mom.
Yeah.
And what does it look like for you?
My routine is I go downstairs, I go into the kitchen, I juice, right? I stretch, I do a little bit of meditation, and then work out 5 o'clock. Typically at 5 o'clock. Lately I've been running outside because it's been nice, but 5 o'clock, by 5 o'clock I'm in the gym.
Right.
And then I'm back home by around 6:45. And that's when I wake up my son for school. I get him ready, and then he's off to school by 8 o'clock. I'm back home, and I'm right back to work. So
that's awesome.
That's my day.
But it's a habit, right? You do it every morning.
Every single day I juice.
Right.
I juice either vegetables or I go for grapefruit. I have this big mound of grapefruit that I juice. So I have my juicers, I have my bullets, and it's really, really important to maintain your health, especially at the speed that I go in business.
Absolutely.
And in life. If I catch a cold, it's like everything slows down. So I can't afford to slow down.
So that's why you take care of yourself.
I take care of myself.
And you feel good too, right?
I have to, because I'm selling something, right? So I gotta feel good on the inside, and I gotta look good on the outside.
Absolutely.
Right? So,
when you think of success, who's the first person that comes to mind?
Success, Steve Jobs, for sure.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
Because of his.
You know what? I think that just like him, I have somewhat of a controversial personality, I would say. but in a sense that, we're not bad people. Obviously we want to help people. He had a vision, I have a vision. He was a visionary, right? But I think that in a lot of ways he was very stern with people and very straightforward and cut and dry. And that's sort of like my approach, especially with the community people that I deal with. Like, it's hard for me to be extra nice and extra warm and extra friendly, because I feel like somebody takes an inch, they want a mile. And so, I'm here to teach something and sort of bring the best out of people. And that was what he was known for, is that people said, oh my God, he was such an asshole, or he was always yelling, but what he was very adamant about was bringing the best out of people. Mm-hmm. And when he passed away, mm-hmm. people cried when he passed away, because they said that when he was alive and when he was interacting with them, it was the toughest years of their lives, but it's where they experienced the most growth. And so when he passed away, it was like a piece of everybody else passed away with him.
Did you watch the CNN?
I did.
Doctor? What did you think about that?
When I watched and I kept pausing and I was like,
what was it called? The Man
Behind the Machine.
Right. You saw another side.
It was like my life. No, it was like I saw the other side. Right. But I felt like I was watching myself, and I'm not saying I'm Steve Jobs.
Right, of course.
Anyway, but I'm saying I related to it a certain extent where people thought he was cold, right? People think I'm cold. I'm not cold. I'm the biggest mush in the world, right? But I'm on a mission.
When you're dealing in business,
I'm on a mission.
When you're dealing in business, you're focused.
I'm extreme. I'm probably one of the most focused people you ever meet in your life. If I have a goal and I have to do something, I won't sleep for 2 days until it's done. Absolutely. And that's how I am. So, and in a sense, that's how I relate to him, is that he was very focused. He brought the best out of people. He was very stern, and he moved quickly, and he was a visionary. And sometimes, I think the saying is, if people don't see what you see, it's because they weren't blessed with the vision that you have. And so it's your job to convey the vision. It's not their job to see it and understand what you're doing, but it's your job to convey the vision and for people to see it and say, that's what that is.
Gotcha. All right. So today, what is Jasmine Ray most afraid of?
Wow. What a question. I'm afraid of losing on someone else close to me. That's really... in life, it changed everything. When I lost my brother, it changed everything.
Absolutely.
So I'm afraid of losing anyone close to me, my son.
Unfortunately, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's life.
Yeah, it's life.
And we have to learn how to deal with these things.
And that's why Wobble was born.
Right.
Because
so
you can't stifle yourself. You can't, grieve forever. You can be saddened, but at the same time, I know that at least that part of me is I try to see the good in people, and I try to see the bright side of everything, right? Because what is the point of being negative about something, no matter how bad it is? What is the point in really, harping on something being negative?
Right.
So
you could take that energy and turn it into something
positive,
else.
Right? And so that's what Wobble was,
Okay, so if you were to share a book with my audience, or my friends, I call them, what book would you recommend? A book. One book that helped you and kind of... there's a lot of books, I'm sure.
I was going to say, it's funny? I read a lot, but I actually want to speak about a book that I'm reading right now.
Okay.
Because I know I've recommended some books to you in the past.
Of
The
course.
Magic of Thinking Big.
Yep.
The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Mm-hmm. 48 Laws of Power. Mm-hmm. The Tipping Point. I've read a lot of books.
Celestine Prophecies, we read at the same time.
Which one?
Celestine Prophecies, what is it called?
The Alchemist.
The Alchemist, that's what it was. Yeah.
The Alchemist is one of my all-time favorite books.
But what book are you reading now?
Book right now called Mastery. It's amazing, and all it is just breaking down people who in the past have been recognized as being masters, right? But what the book says is anybody could be a master. Anybody. You're not born with it. You're not born with any set. You focus, you learn something, you figure out what your path is.
And execute.
And you just execute. You execute, you research, you learn, you become almost obsessed with what you do. You become a master, So anybody can become a master. And that's what the book is about. And so it just takes, Albert Einstein and scientists and NBA legends. And it says, look, this is how they started. And this was their transition point, and this is where they're at now. So people look at them and say, wow, they're geniuses, or they're talented. No, they're hardworking. And that's really it's hard.
Man, we're gonna end it right there. They're hardworking.
They're
you know what I'm saying?
hardworking, yeah.
Do what you gotta do, my people, to get to where you want to go.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Jasmine, where could people find more information about what you're doing?
Yes, so we just relaunched a brand new website. It's called wallballworld.com, WALLBALLWRLD, wallballworld.com. And you can find information on me, the staff, the kids, the tournaments, the organization, blogs, anything you want to know about the sport, whether it's local, whether it's nationally or whether it's internationally, it's all on the website.
Jasmine Ray, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.
No antidote.